Hello and welcome to episode 239. Today, I want to focus this episode on the topic of our emotions during the military transition. I know that this is something that we don't talk a lot about, and I think that we do because it's honestly what drives us to take action, what gets us to the result in a manner or in a way where we're able to do it in a better way and have a better outlook on what's out there for us, a better perspective, per se. And listen, if you are going through a challenging moment in your life, or you are going through a lot of negative emotions right now in your life, career, this is also applicable for you. But before I dive into the topic, I want to invite you, if you haven't already, come join me in Brave and Bold Bootcamp. This is an opportunity for you if you're transitioning out of the military and you're looking to transition in the next 30, 60, or 90 days. It's a 6-week coaching group where you get to come in and get not only coaching for myself, but also you'll be able to identify what role you would be best fit for you in your based on your career goals in the civilian sector. And also we're going to revamp your resume, your LinkedIn profile. But I am also going to teach you what I also teach my clients, the tips on how to better network, not only on LinkedIn or social media, but also at in-person events, how to show up with confidence in a way where people are actually reaching out to you and saying, hey, I have an opportunity for you. I met you at this event, or I saw your profile on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile came up and I want to talk further about the opportunities that you're interested in. And so this is a great opportunity for you to come in, get clear on exactly what you want to do in the civilian sector, and also be able to support one another as a community. And most importantly, help you how to handle those negative emotions when they come up, because they will come up when you're applying. They'll come up when you're in an interview. They'll come up when you're in an in-person event, especially for those of you that do not like to go out there and talk about yourselves or talk about what you're going to do. This is the opportunity for you to come in, learn exactly what you want to do, and then be able to communicate it effectively so that others can then say, okay, this person knows exactly what they want to do. She knows exactly what opportunity she's looking for. And also, she is ready because she knows how to communicate the military skills, the military experience that you've also accomplished, and possibly even are ready to also do that in the civilian sector. All right. Well, I hope you join me. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to wendyray.com/coaching. Again, come join me on Brave and Bold Bootcamp. It's a 6-week program, and we get started on October 14th. So go sign up if you haven't already. Go do it now. All right. So let's get into handling our emotions when we're going through the military transition. And the reason I picked the military transition is because that is one of the hardest and challenging moments for a lot of us emotionally. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of stress, overwhelm, anxiety at times. And so I wanted to ensure that you're not only ready, but also be aware of these emotions coming up. And it's completely okay. It's completely normal. If you're on my email list, you possibly just received an email talking about this. And if you're not on my email list or have not followed me on LinkedIn, I want to invite you to come do so that you can get on my email list and start getting not only tips, but also weekly emails to encourage you during the process for your transition, or even just in career growth or relationships. And so I want you to think about your transition, if you transitioned already, or where you are right now in your military transition. And for those of you thinking about the military transition, I want you to identify how you're feeling about that. If I were to say, well, you're going to, transition in X amount of months, or this is your day, like what comes up for you? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling stressed? Like what exactly are you feeling? And then I want you to think, is this something that mainly comes up because I'm thinking about, the what ifs, or because I have no idea of what exactly I'm going to do? Because there's a difference. I've worked with women that know exactly what they want, but then they go into the what ifs, right? Like they know that, let's just say they want to be a project manager, but then they're like, well, what if there's something else out there for me, right? Then they get curious, but then they don't get curious in a way where they are excited about it. They get curious of like, oh man, like what if I'm missing out? And then they kind of go back to square one, right? And they don't take action. Or they're like, I have no idea what I want to do. I have no idea if I want to do the exact same thing that I was doing in the military. And so then they become frustrated and overwhelmed because now they're like thinking of just not moving forth or not having any idea, right? They're feeling stuck. And so that's where I come in. And this is where I highly recommend, if you are navigating this alone, I highly recommend that you truly take a moment and identify how you're feeling, and then identify what is it that you're thinking about. Like, what's that thought or that belief that's causing that emotion to compound, to actually, grow more and more. So for example, be more overwhelmed. You're like, oh my gosh, I have not only to decide what I need to do, but I also have to do my resume. I have to do my LinkedIn profile. I have to learn how to prepare for an interview. I have to learn exactly what I need to say about the stories that I have, how to communicate all my military experience and also translate that. So that can also then compound this to-do list, this to-do list can then compound a lot of overwhelm, because you're like, I don't know where to begin. There's so much to do. I barely have time to do my day-to-day things. And oh, by the way, I'm a mom and I have the kids and I have to take them here. And so all of that will be caused by all the thoughts that you're having. And so today I want to offer that instead of feeling stuck, possibly even unmotivated or unqualified, I want to encourage you to simply allow them to be there, to simply allow yourself to feel uncertain, allow yourself and be aware of the thought that are coming up for you in those emotions. Because what I don't want you to do is to ignore them and pretend that they're not there. Yes, of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're going to feel stressed, and you're going to feel anxious, and you're going to feel the uncertainty come up. And most importantly, the self-doubt is going to come up too. Listen, I went through that. There's a lot of things that happen here, a lot of the mind drama that happens on our day-to-day because we're not aware of it. We're not acknowledging it. And so one kind of quick activity for you to do, or for you to identify exactly what's going on, is to identify the thoughts. And it's going to literally take you no more than 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes to identify, what exactly am I thinking about this transition or whatever challenge you're having. Maybe in a relationship, it may be with your boss, it may be with a family member, it may be with your kid. Like, what am I thinking about this circumstance? So you may be thinking, I don't have all the qualifications, right? That could be it. And then for some of you, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a master's degree, or I don't have my PMP certification. So then that thought alone is going to create self-doubt. And so when we experience self-doubt, a lot of the times we want to avoid it, we want to resist it, or we simply just want to react to it. We're like, okay, let me just go off on something or someone, or let me just completely forget that I'm transitioning out of the military. That's what I did. I tried to avoid it as much as I could. And so then you're not taking action, right? You're still possibly believing that that you don't have all the qualifications, and you may not, right? But what I'm getting to here is that you're not allowing this self-doubt. So then you are going to continue to end up wasting time and not actually looking at the opportunities that you're qualified for. Meaning that self-doubt is going to compound if you do not acknowledge it or not aware of it. So this is so important, because what you then want to do is focus on the opposite of self-doubt. What can you say today with confidence that you are qualified for? And this is just one quick example. I want you to use your own as your way of getting out of this and allowing that negative emotion. Again, we're not talking about this a lot. Why? Because we don't like talking about emotion. For some reason, we're like, let's just not talk about it, and let's keep looking for jobs and applying and expect to show up with confidence. When no, the self-doubt is going to show up. And yes, you may get the job, but then there's another phase, right? Now you have to go and show up to the job. How do you then handle these negative emotions when they come up? Because they will come up, especially if you're resisting the self-doubt, if you're resisting the overwhelm. Think about the beach ball. And I've said this before in this podcast. When you're resisting something, you're pushing this beach ball down into the water, and eventually that ball has to come out of the water. And so it's really a matter of when you're going to just let that ball out. And it may not be in the best way, right? You may break down, you may yell, you may do something that's not like you, your own leadership, your personality. And so, again, I want you to take a moment, take 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes, and really identify what is it that I'm thinking about this situation, this circumstance, or my transition. Write it down or type it somewhere in your phone, and then identify the emotion. I want you to be clear and aware of the emotion that's coming up for you. It could be self-doubt, uncertainty, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. I want you to get clear. And I want you to, from a place of love, now not a place of fear or a place of anger, I want you to give yourself some grace and really give yourself, or from a place of love, ask yourself, how can I now use this for me to help me move forward? Okay, I may not have all the qualifications, but what qualifications do I have to help me with this new opportunity? Then I need you to write it down. And then I want you to review that every single time and identify what is it that you do have and don't have, because then now you're going to be moving into a place of you taking action and you feeling more confident of what you do have versus focusing on what you don't have. Because again, that's exactly what our mind wants to do. It wants to go into a place of, okay, what is it that we don't have so we can go take action and do it without even being clear if that's what you want to do. Because that's how we're trained, right? We're like, what is it that we need? Go get it done, come back and do it again. But no, let's take a moment, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace and ask yourself, what exactly do I need to think now to help me move away from that negative emotion? And so when you do this, my hopes for you, and I encourage you to do this every single day if you have to, but to encourage you to take action, to move in a direction where you're now not stuck or not taking action or avoiding this negative emotion, but instead actually taking action into the next thing. It could be looking at your resume. It could be looking at your LinkedIn profile. It could be looking at other roles. What exactly do you need, right? All of these things, which, by the way, this is exactly what we're going to be doing in Bold and Brave Bootcamp. We're going to work one-on-one, me and you, on how you can then move not only with these emotions, but also on the other tasks that you have, right? How can we organize, identifying your stories, identifying what skills are going to translate into that specific role. Then let's talk about the interview prep. How can you then show up with confidence, right? Because this is exactly the same model, the same way that we are going to show up in an interview. And I teach you exactly what you need to know and how you need to show up in a way where you are going to not only show up with confidence, but also certainty that you are the one for that opportunity. All right. I hope that this episode is helpful. And if you're transitioning in the next 30 to 90 days, this bootcamp is for you. We start October 14th. Come join me over at wendyray.com/coaching, or it's also in the show notes. All right. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye.